What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you on Polestar. I want to give you an overview of what the data points are currently saying, what's really affecting it today, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. With that said, let's get right to it. So Polestar is currently down 4.8%, a fair amount of volume, so it is getting some attention today. 755,000 shares have been traded, 3.27 million is the average. And the market's only been open roughly about 1 hour, so that's a fair amount of volume, so that's kind of a good thing. But aside from that though, the whole EV sector is bleeding, as is the broader market, more so piggybacking off of the fears brought on by last week, negative CPI and negative PPI data, so that's obviously carrying forward into this week. Tomorrow is FOMC meeting minutes as well as Nvidia earnings, so we'll find out if we are in a giant bubble because of Nvidia earnings or whatever else. But like I said, just the EV sector is massively bleeding, and so not necessarily the best. One positive thing out of today is that shorts are doubling down on the whole EV sector except for Polestar. So right now they're only increasing about 9.5 thousand shares, so not all that much. So that's kind of a good thing. Like I've indicated in the past, Polestar is probably one of the most deep discounted EV plays out there. And clearly by shorts not really increasing all that much, they're kind of validating that because it doesn't logically make sense for Polestar to get anywhere where it is right now. But 9.14% of the free float is being shorted, 22.43 million shares overall are being shorted, cost to borrow average is 46.05%. So of course, I'm just bringing this up more as a benchmark. Definitely do not see Polestar as a short squeeze play. If anything, shorts have slowly increased slightly over the last little bit, and that's just because of the grayness. Because the last news that did come out associated to Polestar was this, about Volvo taking a step back, which generally is very negative, and this news is just assuming that Geely is going to pick up their tab and just buy their stake, which again is kind of a good thing. It's also a kind of a bad thing. So Geely is probably the attribute that is causing Polestar the most damage. People do not want to invest in China by any means. So by Geely possibly picking up the tab, which has not been confirmed yet, and based on the volume, there's been no abnormal transactions. So again, I don't see that as a very strong positive. So I think just the market absolutely is poised to hate Polestar, and through that its owners as well. So not necessarily the best despite the discounted value. And what I mean by that is looking at the PS ratio, it's at 1.3. Even the future is 0.9. So in reality, people are expecting absolutely nothing to come from Polestar. So it's crazy. And a lot of other EVs have gone down quite considerably, but clearly big money is more so oriented towards those companies at higher evaluations, which doesn't make sense. So even Lucid, I think their PS ratio is around 6.5 or might be closer to 8. Even Rivian is at like 5, Tesla is at 3, Polestar is at 1.3 currently. So that is just crazy stuff. But no matter what, big money institutions just seem to not really like Polestar. And when it comes to analysts, there hasn't been any recent ones. So last one was done I think 13 days ago, and that was, I believe, Barclays. So you can kind of see that right here. So Barclays, Dan, who does have a 45% success rating, gave a $2 price target. So analysts just seem to be overlooking Polestar as typically what does happen with big money. So let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think it's realistic? Do you think that Polestar is going to continue to trend down? Because it is very, very close to the all-time and 52-week low of roughly $1.59. So I don't know. Polestar is definitely one of those interesting stocks. My last couple of videos, I was a little bit more optimistic about the technicals, but I did say that without big money really committing and buying Polestar for the long term and not just swing trading it, it is going to continue to trend down. So far it has unfortunately come true. I really do see a lot of good upside with Polestar, but without getting a lot of long investors that build strong support levels, it is going to continue to trend down. Looking at the options right now, now within the first, like I said, hour of the trading day, 8,400 in calls being purchased versus 7,600 in puts. And sentiment wise, 55% of all the options being done are optimistic. And that's clearly based on when it's being done, is more so associated to the upcoming earnings. So I believe that's on the 27th, if I remember correctly, or the 29th, one of those 2 days. And so ultimately that is where you are getting some value investors buying call options, anticipating some pretty positive earnings. I have been watching just to see if any analysts have been doing anything crazy, and as far as earnings per share or revenue estimates, and nothing whatsoever. So let me know your thoughts on Polestar and their upcoming earnings, which is next week. Do you think it's going to be positive, negative? What is your viewpoint on that? Also, on a side note, if you're looking for a lot of good compiled information such as analyst ratings, forecasts, everything under the sun, take a look at Interactive Brokers. All this information can be completely free. Just click on the link in the description below or the comments. But aside from that, while I'm still on here, through the latest Morningstar report, which was at the tail end of last week, it does show $2.74 being the fair value for Polestar. So once again, showing that it is at a pretty substantial discount. But let's talk on technicals though. With it right now at $1.69, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So far, this $1.68, this S1 has been holding. So that's a very strong support. If it does break that, then anticipate between this range and then obviously it'll just be more of a continuation of a death spiral. A lot of data points are coming out tomorrow, so that's going to result in a lot of volatility. And then vice versa, at $1.76 is going to be that next strong resistance level. And coincidentally, that's what it bounced off of for the high so far. So it is simply just trading within this range. And when it comes to Polestar, a lot of the fib levels are very tight. And so it's been more so a controlled kind of movement based on the technicals. But looking at the actual chart, so at the 1 year, just to quickly look back. So we are right now in the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, below both the 50 and 100-day moving averages. And looking at the stochastic is at 20, so that is considered very oversold. So if there's a good piece of news that does come out, you are going to see a rush of value investors coming to Polestar, causing the stock price to come up. In reality, the next big thing that might be coming out would be associated to their earnings, and that just might be a random surprise. So we'll just have to once again wait on that. But you can tell based on the momentum indicator shows number of investors have been getting out ever since it looks like the 29th, January 29th. So that's very abnormal and inverse to what's been happening across the board with a lot of other growth stocks and the EV market. So Polestar, like I said, is just very much heavily hated. Even looking back, it has struggled many times to get over that 50-day moving average. I think over the last 2 years, it's only been probably about 3 times over that 50-day moving average. So the technicals have been on a very long-term downtrend. You just really want to watch for that S1 to really hold, and then hopefully the broader market will start to have a value rally and go up as a result of the FOMC meeting minutes, NVIDIA earnings, Rivian and also Lucid are unveiling their earnings tomorrow after hours. So tomorrow is going to be a crazy roller coaster. Let me know your thoughts on Polestar. Give yourself a shout out. Are you buying Polestar? Are you selling? Like, what have you been doing with Polestar? One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Take advantage of this while you can. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.